Hello and welcome back. This is Everything Guitar, and if this is the first time you are watching one of our videos, then it's fantastic to have you here. Today we're going to be looking at the Beatles albums, and I'm going to be trying to work out which is their best album and hopefully reach a sensible conclusion. So let's get started. This is Everything Guitar. Hello everyone. So as you know, we're going to be looking at the Beatles albums. Now, in sixth place, I've got a real problem because I've got to differentiate Help and Rubber Soul. I like Rubber Soul for the fact that it's got that compressed American sound. I like Help because it's more direct. I find it quite together as an album. I love the variety of both of them. I really want to put them together. They both got strong songs, and so I feel that I'm going to have to put them, instead of having a sixth, I'm going to have to put them joint fifth. You know, both of them are very good albums to listen to in the one go, like Magical Mystery Tour. And in fact, Magical Mystery Tour, Rubber Soul and Help are all very, very close in terms of their focus on the album. Actually, I think Magical Mystery Tour probably edges them both for the album experience. But maybe the directness of Rubber Soul and Help, maybe that edges them. So I'm putting Help and Rubber Soul together in joint fifth. Now, out of the albums that I've got left, I've got to decide on a fourth place. I've got A Hard Day's Night, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, and the White Album. Now, Hard Day's Night was the first time you heard the Beatles writing their own music, you know, all in the one go. Real showcase for the Beatles' talent. There's not as much variation as you get with the other albums that are left. There's not as much experimentation. There's not probably as much originality. So I'm going to say that Hard Day's Night is in fourth place. Sad to do it, but it's a great sounding album, but it just is not of the calibre of Sgt. Pepper, Revolver and White Album. So Hard Day's Night, fourth place. In third place, this is a tough one. You know, I'm going to have to say Revolver. I've polled, in preparation for this video, and I've been preparing for this video for about a year, I've polled my Beatle friends and my personal friends, my family. Do you know, nearly everybody says Revolver is their favourite album. The reason why it's not going to be my top album is not because it's not one of my favourites. Is that I think people are choosing from an aesthetic point of view, which is the most pleasing. And I want to make my judgment a musical one and in context. I just think Revolver it's got some great experimentation on it. It's got some great little miniatures. There are these moments and it goes from one thing to another. It can go from an acoustic song and then there's piano, and it goes from blatant experimentation, then you get this glimpse of Indian music. Compared to the White Album and Sgt. Pepper, I think it's slightly more disjointed. You know, Tomorrow Never Knows right at the end, it's like, where did that come from? It doesn't fit. And it's odd that it's the concluding track. The tradition in things like theme and variations is just to have a theme, then you have variations on the theme, you know, which explore a whole different thing, and then you have a finale. Now, Tomorrow Never Knows actually kind of does that. It's kind of the finale for the album. But the finale is really supposed to draw the whole album into focus, and yet the finale of Revolver, it poses a question: what is this? It's a great effect in itself, but it just gives me a sense of disjointedness. It is like a mini opera, and it's like a minimalistic opera in a way. But I'm just going to edge it out for some of those concerns that I have about it. I'm slightly more comfortable with the concept of the other two albums that are left. So at number 3, Revolver. Now number 2, what have I got left? I've got the Beatles White Album and I've got Sgt. Pepper. The album that I have looked to for the longest in terms of sound production, sound shaping, instrumentation, creativity, the use of harmonies, the use of effects on harmonies, just idea after idea after idea. What can we do next? What can we do next? I'd always choose Sgt. Pepper. Now, I've got to choose over that between that and the Beatles White Album. And I'm putting, really reluctantly, I can't believe I'm having to do this, but I've really thought about this, and I'm putting Sgt. Pepper into second place. I think the original idea was that it was supposed to be a really tight-knit album. It was supposed to be, each song is connected, and each song leads from one another. And to hear a storyline through it, I know people have tried to create a storyline, and I've always thought it was tenuous. The people that I've read, lovely people that have written about it, and I've known some people that have actually written about this and said that there's a connection, and they have to come up and make the end result fit the procedure. And I don't think it does. And I think you can hear that the Beatles are already drifting. They were tired after their touring days. They just thinking, why do we have to do this? We can do what we want, So it became a little bit random, and it became a little bit slightly disorganised. It seems a shame to say that about this album, but it is, when you think about it, slightly disorganised. There are some fantastic ideas, which is why it is at number 2. I love that. The idea of the farmyard animals, and I love the idea of the dog whistle, that was put on to upset the dogs, and they'd hope that maybe when someone put the album on, you could hear this dog whistle. Only dogs could hear it in the background in one point, and the idea of the inner groove and the chord at the end. The chord at the end, incidentally, of Sgt. Pepper mirrors the opening chord of A Hard Day's Night. You've got this bang for Hard Day's Night, and at the end of this album, you've got bang, big chord again. It's incredible, the experience. They've really tried to come up with an idea, and they really thought carefully about where to put that A Day in the Life. It's in a brilliant place on the album, and putting the George's Indian song in the middle of Sgt. Pepper, suddenly you're off into a dream world, and it shows the Beatles are in a bit of a daydream, with it. So I don't think that it's up in the league of what's left. So I'm putting Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band at number 2. Now at number 1, it just leaves the Beatles, what we call the White Album. I actually think that you could say that it's disjointed. I think that's what people say about it, that it's disjointed, that it's lots of different things. It's acoustic, it's a rock, it's, experimentation, protest, slogans. And yet, the way it's presented, it goes in stages, and there are different ideas. And the album, in terms of the sound production, has a feeling to it. It's got everything's affected. It's a very refined version of Sgt. Pepper. Everything is affected. Everything is changed in it. Well, you have saxophones in Savoy Truffle. They're distorted. They're really tight, compressed sounding. As well. They've got, the vocals are all got effects on them, echoes and different things, like Sgt. Pepper. But I think it works because it's connected in terms of its sound shaping, and yet it's got the variety of an opera, of moving from one thing to the other, of light and shade. So rather than it feeling disjointed, it does feel connected as an album. It's a long album, and like operas, it's long, but it is broken up into being a double album. So you do get a break. You'd have, effectively, between the two sides of the album, you'd have a break. you know, it's long listening, lots of concentration needed because there's a lot in there, you know, orchestration and the rest of it. Very, very clever album. That is why I'm putting the White Album at number 1. I can't believe I've actually had to do that, but really having thought about this, you know, I hope this has been interesting to you. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, and check out some of my other videos while you're here. Subscribe and like if you do that sort of thing. Hit the bell if you want notifications of future videos. I'll certainly be doing more on the Beatles, and maybe on the Beatles as solo musicians and songwriters, and certainly about some other bands from that era, plus of course my main interest, which is in classical music, jazz and Indian music. I hope it's been fun. Take care of yourselves, take forwards the Beatles message, love one another, love, 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 all you need is love, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Cue the music.
And if you want to see more performance-based content from me, then head over to my main performance channel, the Dale Harris Guitar channel, and it's in the card right now in the right hand corner. So if this video has helped you, then why not subscribe? And why not check out some of our other videos? And there are 2 here to check out for you now. And remember, don't just watch, play. All the best. Hasta luego.